Hey guys, welcome to College SportsCast. Got with me John Hammonds tonight. We're going to be doing this, the two of us. We're going to be bringing to you our college game day pick'em for the week, starting tonight through the 22nd of next week. And that's the games that we're going to talk about. And we've got a full schedule of games. There's a whole bunch of college football bowl games to talk about between now and
Yeah,
next Thursday. We got 13 of them, John. That's quite a bit to start
that's
out
quite
with.
a, that's quite a bit of games. Yeah,
Yeah, so we're going to kind of swing through those, try to do kind of a rapid fire pick on these a little bit. I mean, we'll talk a little, but we can't talk about those and get to the basketball games and do a few things that we want. There's a lot of big basketball games we want to talk
yeah.
about.
This weekend, in my opinion, is probably the best slate it's been all season long in terms
We
of
had a
top
pretty good
25.
slate. I think maybe last Saturday it was, but this
Yeah.
Saturday's really, really good.
Well, if
The
you're
slate
looking
of
at
games.
from the top 25 perspective, teams playing each other is what I was trying to get at.
Yeah, yeah.
Last week
Well,
there's a few unranked teams played some top 25 guys.
right.
So
All right, so we're going to start out with the college football bowl games. The first game starts tomorrow morning, actually, on a Friday morning. I think it starts like at 11:30. It's the Bahamas Bowl, and we have Miami of Ohio that's 6-6 versus UAB, who is 6-6, and UAB is a 10.5 point favorite in this game. And again, it's in the Bahamas. I mean, you can't go wrong with the Bahamas, right?
you get a good vacation and you get a bowl game. So I mean,
I
it's a
mean, come
win-win.
on. So, who you going to like in this game? I mean,
I think I'm going to take John Roberts and the UAB Fighting Blazers. I'm going to pull for John Roberts' team tomorrow. I just
yeah, Birmingham
Ohio's had
UAB.
a rough year.
Yeah, UAB just hired Trent Dilfer as their head coach. They this year have been operating with a interim coach, and they just hired their coach. So that's a good deal to hire Trent Dilfer for
The Diffel.
UAB. Yeah, I can't talk. Apparently,
I had to get you. Yeah. I
apparently, I
just
can't.
think, well, if you look at it, UAB ain't really had a good year either, but Miami of Ohio ain't had much of a year either as
Well, I
well.
mean,
So
UAB's got one of the better running backs in the
they
country.
do.
He may have ended up being the top in yardage. I'm not sure. McBride.
Deuce McBride. Yeah, I think,
Yeah,
and if I'm not mistaken, isn't he coming back next year?
I believe so.
If I read that right.
So they're 10.5 point favorite in this game. I'm going to take them in the Bahamas Bowl. I just kind of wanted to get it started out with the very first bowl game. We're going to kind of go down the list. The next one is the Duluth Trading Care Bowl. This one has two 11-2 win teams in it. You have UTSA versus Troy in this game,
I tell
and
you, man, this Troy team's something else. John Summerall has really brought them from the depths of despair. They had a few good years there, but he really has turned this program around, recruiting, adding things into the facilities. He's just doing a wonderful job there. And he's a Kentucky prodigy too. So that, and even was it before he went to Kentucky, he was at Ole Miss. So he's been around the block. He knows recruiting. He knows how to handle things as a coach.
hey Diego, what's up, man?
Lost
Glad you're
in San Diego.
yeah. We're glad you're on with us, man. So, John, the spread in this game is actually UTSA is favored by 1 as of
I
this
don't know.
afternoon.
I don't agree with that, but that's just me.
I, so
UTSA is a really good team, but at the same time, they're going to be going up a level, and playing Troy. Here's my thing about these bowl games, especially about UTSA and Troy. I feel like they should both be playing Power Five schools. That's just my. They shouldn't be playing each other. They should be playing somebody like Ole Miss,
Right.
maybe
I
a team
kind of
like
agree with that.
UCF, somebody that's been there before. I just don't think putting these 2-11-2 teams in that kind of bowl. I mean, they deserve a bigger bowl, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, they're the second and third ranked non-power five teams in the country. UTSA and Troy is. And just to give you a little info about Troy, Troy has the eighth ranked defense in the country. They only averaged giving up 17 and a half points a game, and that's good for ninth in the country.
And if I'm not mistaken, they got one of the better linebackers in the country.
They do.
Um,
John Summerall was a linebacker coach as well. So,
I mean, his imprint's on that program, so
right.
he knows how to run things.
So I'm going to pick Troy. Who are you picking?
I got Troy.
All right.
I think this will be a close game, though.
Like I said, the odds right now have UTSA as a 1-point favorite. John Roberts is at like a Christmas recital tonight with his little girl, so he wanted me to kind of throw in his picks too. He had sent to me. He is picking UAB and Troy, which is no big surprise. He lives in Birmingham, and Troy's not too far away either. So you got UAB and Troy in these two first games. So I want to kind of throw those games in. Next, we're going to the Fenway Bowl. This is the Satterfield.
I want to say something about this.
This is the Satterfield Bowl, is what this is. We got Cincinnati 9-3 versus Louisville, who's 7-5. And here's where I'm totally shocked. I had to look at this 3 times today to make sure. They have Louisville as a 2-point favorite.
They do. And another thing in this, Satterfield leaves.
What's up with that?
I think a lot of that is to do with Cincinnati has a lot of guys that was opting out, and their coach left.
Yeah.
Even on the other side, Louisville's coach, he left Louisville, and now he's coaching Cincinnati.
Right. And Louisville is down. He took 5 coaches with him to Cincinnati. Louisville has a director of player personnel as their interim head coach and 3 assistant coaches, one an offensive line coach, one a defensive line coach, and one an outside linebackers coach. And that's all they have.
Deion Branch is the one I think is going to be coaching them.
Yeah, he's the director of player.
Former New England Patriot great.
Yeah.
And see, here's my thing about this, how crazy this is. They're going to be on the same side of the stadium, the fans. That's what makes this even more interesting, is you're putting the whole fan base on one side where the coach left to go to the other team.
I agree with you, man.
I don't know how that's going to shake out, but whatever. So
I don't know. It's the Satterfield Bowl. That's what I'm calling.
I want to take Cincinnati, but I want to take Louisville too. Which Malik Cunningham, he's not going to be playing. Louisville's got a lot of transfers that are leaving, so I don't.
Both of these teams do. It's kind of one of these games. I mean, who knows, really?
It's kind of like the Iowa-Kentucky game where there's a lot of people going to be
both
out.
of these schools, their coaches left. Their coaches has been shattered. Their players are transferring left and right. I mean, you have no idea who's going to play. This is really and truthfully, it's a hard game to pick.
It is, but I'm going to take Cincinnati in this one. I just think they're the better team. I think they got a better offense, and I even think they got a better defense. Oh, no, I wouldn't say – I think Louisville's a better front four. Cincinnati's probably got a better secondary. So
Louisville had been playing a lot better under Satterfield, but then surprisingly he up and leaves and goes to Cincinnati when Fickle left.
What makes it so bad is you left right in the middle of the time where they was getting ready to announce the bowls.
Yeah.
Now, if this would have been after the bowl, I could understand. But you're basically leaving a school to go to the other team that you're playing against. That's going to leave some bad blood between,
Cincinnati and Louisville.
Cincinnati and
Well,
Louisville.
and Cincinnati and Louisville
It's already bad blood in basketball. They was really
a long time ago, they were in the same conference together, and for many, many years, and it was a pretty heated rivalry then too.
It was.
I'm going to go. I honestly, I was kind of surprised that Louisville was a favorite. I know they're the ACC school and Cincinnati's the AAC school. Gosh, I think I'm going to go Cincinnati. And John Roberts also is going Cincinnati in this game. So far, we're all just matching right up.
Matching right up, yeah.
All right, the next bowl tomorrow is the Las Vegas Bowl. Now, I think this is one of the most intriguing bowls of the weekend.
Yeah, it is.
This is Florida 6-6 versus Oregon State, who went 9-3 in the Pac-12.
This is a really good Oregon State team, but here's my thing about this.
Oregon State is favored by 10.
Florida is down to a third-string quarterback transfer.
I guess Richardson's not playing.
He opted out. They're down to a transfer from Ohio State, I believe. And Shorter's not going to be there. There's a couple guys on the defensive side who are not going to be there. I think maybe one of their running backs is in the transfer portal. So this is another game that there's so many opt-outs between all these schools and teams. It's just hard to pick these games, man, because you don't know who's going to come out and play. What you get and what you do, like we was talking about it before the show started, it gives all these young players a chance to show themselves on the national spotlight. Give them an opportunity to play, give them some more reps, some more time to get a chance to play and more bowl preparation time. So, but if I had to really pick this game, I think I'm going to go Oregon State. I just think Oregon State is a better team. Florida's defense is not real good. They haven't been good all year long. They gave up a lot of yardage. If we're really being honest about it, to me, I feel like Florida's only good game they played was against Tennessee. And, they had a few games. They had the first half against Florida State that was good. But overall, Florida just wasn't the team, that we expected, in which we wouldn't want to expect it because it was Billy Napier's first year. But I expected better than what they gave this year, especially. Keep the ice storm away so I can join. Oregon State for the win, says Mason Cross.
Oregon State for the win, huh? All right. So, to me, this is a game when you look at it is, you've got a bottom bowl team from the SEC, which is what Florida is.
Yeah.
Versus a 9-3 Oregon State team who challenged at least in the Pac-12, for the top 3-4 positions in the Pac-12 and had a great year, went 9-3.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting bowl on that terms just to see how this pans out because, is the lower SEC team going to be able to play with the kind of higher Pac-12 team, basically?
Well, and two, if you look at it from another perspective, Florida is an SEC school, so the talent level is going to be a lot bigger, especially in a game like this. But that don't necessarily mean anything, especially in a one-game situation. We've seen it too many times in these big bowl games. Teams have the overall talent, but heart and determination won out.
Yeah, I'm going to pick Oregon State in this game. But there is a part of me that says that the SEC schools, even their backups, are going to probably be as talented,
Yeah,
you know. So, but
you got to be good to play in the SEC.
I'm
I
going
mean,
to be honest with you. Florida was already not quite up to par in their second unit, and if they're losing a bunch of people and then having to even add more to it, I think Oregon State's going to have the better of it in this game. And John Roberts picks Oregon State as well in this game. Um, and we had Mason on, and Mason said he's picking Oregon State in this game as well. So then the next bowl we're going to is and this one, it actually has Jimmy Kimmel's name in it. It's the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl. I swear. Uh,
all these bowls names, man.
I don't.
Next thing you know, we're
It
going to have
actually has Jimmy Kimmel's name in it.
the
It's
Lucky Charms Bowl or something.
Washington State 7-5 versus Fresno State, who is 9-4, and Fresno State is a 3.5-point favorite.
I don't really know a bunch about neither one of these teams, so I'm going to be the analyst that don't really know a lot, and I'm just going to pick a team. I'm going to go with the Wazoo. I'm going to pick Washington State.
Okay. And that's fair. I mean, I know a little bit about Washington State. I don't know hardly anything about Fresno State, Fresno in this
I
game.
do know David Carr played there, so that was a.
I mean, they went 9-4, and they're favored over Washington State in this game by 3.5 points. So, they must be a pretty decent team, and I really don't know anything about them myself. So, um, if you're going to go Washington, I'll go Fresno State. And since they're favored anyway, and you're going that way, and it looks like that John Roberts is going Fresno in this game as well. So I'll take the different one and go Fresno. So we'll at least have one or two games here where we're different. The next one is the Lending Tree Bowl. These games are all being played on Saturday that we're talking about now. The Lending
Tree Bowl. I mean, it just keeps going, getting wilder.
The Lending Tree Bowl. It's Rice, whose record is 5-7, by the way, versus Southern Miss, who is 6-6, and Southern Miss is favored by 6.5.
Like I said, this is another game that I don't know really much about. I know Rice,
they play a bunch of Texas schools most of the time.
They do most of the time, and Southern Miss played Kentucky a couple of years back, a home and home. So
yeah.
I know a little bit of it. I know a little bit about it from that perspective, but I'm just
Southern Miss usually has a pretty decent football program.
They do. I'm just going to go with the favorite Southern Miss. I think they'll cover in this game.
I got to go Southern Miss. My favorite player of all time, Brett Favre, played there, so I'm going Southern Miss. That's the whole reason, guys. Anyways, John Roberts is also going Southern Miss. So we're kind of lining up in most of these tonight. But the next bowl we're going to talk about is the New Mexico Bowl. And it is SMU, who went 7-5, versus BYU, who went 7-5. This bowl has a couple of teams that it's kind of an interesting bowl, if you ask me. The matchup.
Yeah, BYU's been kind of inconsistent all year long. I mean,
they had a great year last year. This year, the defense just wasn't quite there. No. And what's surprising is SMU's favored by 4.
I don't know.
I thought that was surprising.
I think I'm going to go the other way, and I'm going to pick BYU in this game. SMU has had some head scratchers this year. what was it? They was close with TCU there for a little while,
They were.
and
They have a decent team. They
they do.
played a few of these Texas schools and played them pretty close for most of the game.
I mean, it's the home of Eric Dickerson. I mean, who the Pony
That
Express.
one was the Pony Express. You have no idea. You asked a question on Twitter the other day. Who your favorite college football, like growing up? Who was your first favorite college football
Yeah,
player? Mine was Eric Dickerson in the Pony Express.
yeah.
I'm just saying it.
That was a pay for play.
Hey, Eric
Hey,
Dickerson, I love to watch him run, man.
they're doing
He
it
run.
now. Eric,
He didn't run like other running backs. He ran straight up. And like this, and he would float, man. I mean, he
and
just
he would knock you. He'd knock you sideways too.
oh my, and he arched that back up and ran with that ball like this and ran straight up, and he just ran way different than anybody else
For a
ever
long
ran.
time, some of his records in the NFL, I didn't think a lot of people was going to break them at one point.
He
Because
was
there's quite a bit of
yes, he had them all just about at one time.
yeah. Then they came a guy by the name of Emmett Smith, and he done some damage.
Yeah, yeah, he did.
Go Cowboys! I had to get that
Anyways,
one in.
I had to, since we're talking about SMU and you had asked the question about your favorite player growing up, who was your first favorite player that you remember in college football? Mine was probably Eric Dickerson.
I guess mine would be Emmett Smith. I grew up on Troy Aikman and Emmett Smith and the Irvin days.
Yeah.
Them were some fun times right there. That's when Cowboys was actually relevant.
Well, I mean, they were the best team in football for 3 or 4 years.
They should have won it 4 years in a row if we're really going to be technical about it, but that's another
All right,
topic.
so are you taking BYU in this game?
Yeah, I'm taking BYU.
Well, BYU's got the quarterback, and they got a great tight end. Now, I don't know. I don't know. Here's the thing about a lot of these bowl games and stuff. I don't know who's opting out and who's not.
I don't either. I don't even know who's.
I don't.
And there's
follow,
many.
There's so many teams. I mean, yes, I've heard some people who are opting out, but it's hard to follow every single team, and they're, so I don't know who's opting out. But
Well, that ain't so much the bad thing. The worst part of it is the transfer portal. You got guys in there that's been in there 6-7 times, and some of them's been there since the Obama administration.
I know. We'll get into that.
I'm just being honest about it.
Yeah. I guess I'm going to take BYU. I had been picking BYU in a lot of games all year long. I was right a little bit early on, and then they just kind of fell off and fell apart. I'm going to take BYU, I think, in that game.
Yeah, I am too.
And let me pull up. John Roberts is taking SMU.
So I guess we're all different on that one.
Yeah, he's taking SMU in that game. All right, and then the last game for Saturday is the Frisco Bowl, and it has North Texas 7-6 versus Boise State, who went 9-4, and Boise State is a 10.5-point favorite.
Yeah, give me Boise State in this game. It's and plus I think it's at Boise State. I think they might get to play on their own field if I'm not mistaken.
I'm not sure. I really didn't look at it. The Frisco Bowl, I've never even heard of the Frisco Bowl. I'm serious.
I believe if I'm not, it may be that one or might be Potato Bowl, something like that. There's one where
that's the next one we're going to talk about.
The team gets to play on their home field. It might be a different bowl than the one I'm thinking about.
I'm going to take Boise State in this game. North Texas did play a pretty tough schedule. They played several Texas schools and a couple of games that I know that they played that was tough. And so they are tested. I think North Texas will probably play a pretty good game.
Yeah.
But I'm going to take Boise State in this game.
I am too.
And John Roberts is also taking Boise.
Well, and another thing with this North Texas game, didn't they just get rid of their coach?
Yeah.
Littrell.
Yeah.
I mean, dude's done some outstanding work at North Texas, and you can him before the bowl game. Like,
Yeah.
that's I don't know.
And then the next one, no, Monday night is the Myrtle Beach Bowl, and it's Marshall 8-4 versus UConn 6-6.
UConn is finally in a bowl game, man.
And
Didn't
yep,
we mention that early in the year that we
UConn
didn't
made a
know?
bowl game at 6-6, and Marshall is a 10-point favorite in this game.
I think I'm going to take Marshall in this game. Thank you for coming, UConn, and playing, but I just think Marshall's a better team.
Hey, Moore Jr. has done a good job there in his first year.
He really has.
In his first year, he really has. He'll turn that program around.
It might not be on the levels that we want it to be, but it's going to be consistent with bowl games.
I think so. I think he'll turn it around.
That's all you can ask for.
Yeah. Marshall's had a good year. One huge game early in the year. Everybody probably knows against Notre Dame. They're 8-4. I'm going to stick with Marshall. They are a football school. I mean, the whole "We Are Marshall" is a real thing.
And if you've never watched that movie, you need to watch it. It's a good movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's a real thing, seriously. So I'm going to take Marshall. Mm-hmm. John Roberts is taking Marshall as well in that game. And then we're going to the Idaho Potato Bowl. I mean, it sounds to me like we're going to eat.
Yeah, exactly. we're going for a feast.
It sounds like to me we're going to eat, and it makes
me hungry. The more bowls that we get, the more it feels like we're going into Christmas. And
I mean, are we going to Waffle House and ordering the potato bowl or what?
Yeah,
that's what I'm wondering. Anyways, Eastern Michigan 8-4 versus San Jose State, who is 7-4.
This might be one of your sneaky good games of the.
Yeah, and San Jose State is a 3.5-point favorite.
San Jose State's a pretty good football team. They've always seemed to have, even back in the early 90s when I was watching basketball, they always had a pretty decent team, but they've kind of lagged off over the years. But I think I'm just going to go with who I think do good in this game, and I'm going to pick Eastern Michigan.
Okay.
So,
I don't really know too much about either team on this one. I'm just going to go San Jose State. They're favored in this game, so I'm going to go them. And John Roberts also is picking San Jose. So we'll at least be a little bit different between all of us. And then we've got the Boca Raton Bowl. That's Liberty 8-4 versus Toledo, who is 8-5.
I don't think Liberty's going to be without their coach, and I don't.
Right, and Toledo is actually favored by 5 points, but I think that's because Liberty lost their coach and probably lost some players and some coaches.
Yeah, quite a bit of opt-outs. Yeah.
Well, they probably lost some assistant coaches and stuff too.
Which Toledo, if I'm not mistaken, no, that was Kent State lost their coach.
Yeah,
I was thinking of Kent State lost their coach. I thought maybe
so. Toledo, surprisingly, Toledo's favored by 5. When Liberty, as of about 2 weeks before the season ended, was looking like they might end up being the first team in the non-Power 5 conference.
I'm gonna go Toledo this matchup.
All right, I'm going to have to take the Flames and be different.
The Flames.
The Flames. I mean, when you got a name called the Flames, I mean, come on.
The Liberty Flames.
The Liberty Flames. And that's who John Roberts is taking, is the Flames. He's taking Liberty. And then next Wednesday, we have the New Orleans Bowl. And this one I'm kind of interested in. This is Western Kentucky University, who went 8-5, versus South Alabama, who went 10-2.
Yeah, that'd be a really good game.
And South Alabama is a 4.5-point favorite.
Well, and Western just got their quarterback back, Austin Reed. So
Yeah,
I think I'm gonna take Western in this game.
this ought to be a really good game. And Westerns, their offense and everything that they've been running with
They can move the ball now.
Helton the last 3 years or whatever he's been there now. They can put some points on the board and move the ball. And this South Alabama team is a good team. They went 10-2. They're favored 4.5. I'm going to have to pick my hometown school here and pick WKU, Western Kentucky. I'm about 20 minutes from campus, so that's the reason why I say my hometown team. I live about 20 minutes from their campus. So, and then John Roberts has taken South Alabama, which he lives in South Alabama or Central Alabama, whatever. So, but yeah, not a big surprise that he would take South Alabama,
Not
right?
at all.
Yeah. And then the last bowl game next Thursday is the Armed Forces Bowl, and it is Baylor, who only went 6-6,
Yeah, this was
versus
just a bad year for Baylor.
Air Force, who went 9-3.
Air Force is a really good team, and if I'm Baylor, I'd be careful with this game.
Baylor's favored 5.5 at 6-6.
I still going to take Baylor, but this is a game that I'd be careful about because Air Force runs that crazy offense that they run. It kind of puts you in mind of Navy and Army the way they run their sets,
Right.
and it's hard to prepare for. Like you don't know you don't know who's getting the ball. It's just difficult to prepare. And back when I was a kid, that was what offense was back in the day. The option, Nebraska did it, Air Force did it, Navy did it.
Notre Dame used to run it.
Notre Dame used to run it. It used to be a big thing back in the 90s.
Yeah.
I mean, the option can work if you got the athletes with it.
It can.
It can. I'm not a fan of it. It's just
no, but it can work if you have the right athletes.
There's a lot of blocking with it. Georgia Tech, that's another one that was.
Yeah, Georgia Tech has always run it. I don't know what they're going to do with their new coach, but
you got to get with the times. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's mostly the spread, and some teams run the pro offense. But we run the pro. Kentucky run the pro offense, but right now it's mostly spread, and there's a lot of teams do the RPO too, which I like the RPO if you know how to do it.
Right.
You got to have a good quarterback for that.
I think. Are you taking Baylor?
Yeah, I'm still taking Baylor though.
I want to take Baylor, but they had such a terrible year that. I mean, do you realize I'm almost positive preseason they were top 10?
Yeah, they was. They
were top 10
preseason. Their defense this year was atrocious, and it wasn't like that last year.
They were expected to probably win the Big 12 preseason.
Yeah. And it all come unglued.
And I'm going to say that because of the year they had, they probably, and I don't know this is not, and I could be totally wrong. So if you're watching and you have a comment to say on this, you can, because I'm saying this in just my own opinion. I believe that they probably maybe have a few opt-outs and stuff after such a terrible season, would be my guess. I don't really know that for sure, but I'm going to pick the Air Force. I think their offense is going to be awfully hard for them to prepare for. And I think the Air Force has had a pretty good team this year. And it's the Armed Forces Bowl. So the Air Force has to win, right? I mean, come on.
They do. I mean, yeah.
John Roberts has taken Baylor. And that's going to wrap up our first week of college football bowl games. Next week, we'll do Friday through Thursday again. And
now we get into the nitty-gritty.
And kind of hit those games. And then the following week, we'll talk about all the big games, all New Year's Six bowls, and the college football playoffs. So that'll give us 3 more weeks of college football talk, which will be fun to do, um, and do some pregame picks. But now we're going to turn the page and we're going to talk about some round ball. We're going to talk about some basketball, and there's a whole bunch of really good games on Saturday. The first one starts out with Indiana is playing at Kansas. That's two big schools.
Yeah.
Indiana is ranked 14th, and Kansas is ranked 8th in the country.
Mm,
And Indiana don't play at Lawrence, Kansas very often.
mm-mm.
That's not a game you see very often. So if if you're a big college basketball fan, I check this game out. It should be a fun game to
It'll be a
watch.
fun game. I think Kansas wins. Indiana, I just don't think has, I wouldn't say talent. I just don't think they have the guards, what I should say, to handle Kansas's guards.
That's
Kansas
that
got some
could
good
be
guards. Now,
that could be.
Trace Davis Jackson might be one of the best players in the country right now.
He might
And
be. He's. I mean, he might be the
up
best
there.
player on the floor, even versus Kansas.
Yeah, I don't know. Grady Dick's pretty good for Kansas.
I'm just saying It's possible he might be the best player on the floor.
I'm not comparing him to Grady Dick. Grady Dick's his own player, but Trace Davis Jackson to me is on another level than these other guys are. But in a one game situation, that don't mean anything though.
Right.
I mean, we look at last year.
Lawrence,
Kentucky,
Kansas will be crazy. Their
yeah,
fans. I mean, it'll be an absolute nightmare atmosphere for Indiana to go into. Um, so you got to take that into consideration as well. I don't know, who you thinking about picking in this game, but I think I'm going to go Kansas at home. If this
yeah.
was a neutral game,
I'd probably pick it differently. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, I would at least think about picking Indiana, but I think it's going to be an awfully hard game to go into Lawrence, Kansas and win.
yeah. I'm taking Kansas.
All right. All right. So then the next game we'll talk about is Gonzaga versus Alabama, and this game is being actually played in Birmingham.
Yeah, and right now, Alabama might be the best team in the country.
They might be. They're playing like it.
Next to UConn.
They're playing like it. I mean,
They
UConn is the one team that beat them right now. So yeah,
they got a really good basketball player in Brandon Miller. They got Quinterly. They just lost, I think, their Burnett. They lost him for quite a while. They're good defensive man. They got Sears. I mean, Brandon Miller was it a couple weeks ago? He had an off night, and Alabama still won. That tells you how good they are.
well,
But
he had an off
he's
night,
playing,
but he still stepped up to the free throw line and knocked down 6 free throws
he did.
as a freshman with the game on the line.
To me, he's the best freshman in the country. That's just my opinion, but everybody has one. So
And the Zags have played a tremendous schedule so far for
they have.
them.
They
To
took
look down and see that they are still playing teams like Alabama on this schedule, I
they took
commend.
some on the chin. Gonzaga's took some on the chin early in the season.
They have. I think they've lost 3, but they've won.
Yeah.
They've won 2 or 3 of those games that they've been playing too. So,
Yeah.
I mean, they beat Kentucky. Everybody seen that. Kentucky didn't look like they were even in the game. So
When you get behind 10-2, 8-2, start the game, it puts a dent in things.
like I said, I don't think Kentucky was ever really in the game. But
I got Alabama.
okay, I want to pick the Zags.
They're due. They're due a really good game though.
They are. They are due. I feel like they are due a good game. And didn't Bama beat them last year?
I believe so. Yeah.
I believe Bama went out there somewhere on a neutral court and beat them last year. I believe. So I'm thinking maybe Drew Timmy is going to be looking for a little bit of revenge. I'm going to pick the Zags in this game, I think. And I'll go back and look. John Roberts is picking Kansas in the first basketball game we talked about against Indiana, and he's also picking Bama against the Zags. So trying to keep up with what he's doing too. Wanted to tell you guys all the stuff he's doing. The next game is probably as far as the rankings, it's the biggest game on the schedule on Saturday. Houston plays at Virginia.
First team to 40 wins.
Houston, Houston is number 5, and Virginia's number 2 in the rankings. So it's a top 5 matchup.
Yeah. Reason I say that, both of them play really good defense.
They do.
And
They do.
Listen, everybody, it's going to be ugly. There's going to be times where it's going to you're going to maybe fall asleep, try and change the channel, but
don't be surprised when you turn it on in the second half and there's like 8 minutes to go or 10 minutes to go and it's 43-40.
Yeah, if that wins your game, so be it. The way I look at it.
I mean, that's all I'm saying. Don't be surprised.
But if I had to pick a winner, I think I'm going to go Virginia. I'm going to tell you something. Playing in Charlottesville is very hard to play at. Everybody says, well, it's not the biggest stadium or biggest arena like Duke and all that, but it's an intimidating place. Duke's lost there. North Carolina's lost there. So it's not an easy place to play at.
No, it's not. And it being at home for Virginia.
And Houston coming off a loss to Alabama, I think there's going to be a lot of extra motivation to win that one.
It's going to be a tough game. It should be a fun game to watch as far as, I think it'll be a close game. And so I think it'll be a fun game to watch as far as that. And, gosh, I'm not going to go against Virginia at home. I think I'm going to take Cavaliers at home. I just don't think – I don't know. I'll just leave it at that. I'm going to take Virginia at home. John Roberts is also taking Virginia at home. And then the next game we're going to talk about on Saturday is North Carolina versus Ohio State. And this game is part of the games being played
New York.
In New York at Madison Square Garden. So that's where this game is played.
Here's the key stat. North Carolina is 119th in the country in field goal percentage.
Wow.
But here's another key stat. They're 31st in the country in total rebounds.
Yeah, but
so they're getting extra possessions, but they're not doing anything with it.
Right.
And this Ohio State team got lucky the other night against Rutgers because there was a call that was controversial where the guy stepped out of bounds. So, but that has no bearing on this game. But I think, North Carolina's not played well.
They're not playing well, or they're going to play well?
I said they haven't played well.
They haven't been.
And Ohio State, I think, is just a better team in this game. So give me the Buckeyes.
Okay. North Carolina started out preseason ranked number 1. They lost 4 in a row. They haven't looked good. They haven't played well. Ohio State is, played pretty decent. They're ranked 20th in the country. UNC's fell all the way outside of the top 25.
They did last year.
I know.
I know. I
know, and that's what I know. At some point in time, I expect them to put it together because that's what Hubert Davis did last year. I'm going to take UNC in this game, and John Roberts has taken UNC as well. I just have a feeling that they're going to get it together maybe in this game. So we'll see.
Big John, he says. Dad's on the line tonight.
Is that your dad?
Yeah, he's acting crazy on there.
All right. I was just trying to see who it was. All right. So the next game we're going to talk about is Davidson versus Purdue. And this game is being played at Indy. And it's kind of interesting. Davidson, of course, if anybody knows, Davidson's where I can't hear you. Oh, I guess he's leaving for a minute. I don't know what he said. Anyways, Davidson's where Steph Curry played at, and they kind of have a tradition with him and the Curry family. So we are. I'm including this game in. Purdue this week was moved up and ranked number 1 after Houston got beat. So Purdue is now the number 1 ranked team in the country. They are undefeated. It looks like John's having a mic issue or something.
I'm back.
All right.
I was having to charge.
I was talking about Davidson and Purdue games at Indy.
I think I'm going to take Purdue. This is one of those games that, Davidson's not a bad team. I mean, Davidson's always known to be in the mix for an East tournament every year. Yeah. That coach that they got, he's been there since Ronald Reagan. I mean, he's been there quite a while. But I think I'm just going to take Purdue in this one. Purdue's playing really good right now. They probably got one of the better big men in the country. This was supposed to be a rebuild year for Purdue, and Purdue has come out not even lost a game yet. They had their first scare Saturday against Nebraska.
No, they're number 1 they're number 1 in the country this week.
Give me the Boilermakers.
All right, man. I'm going to take Purdue too in this game, and so is John Roberts. And the next game is still in Indy. It's UConn at Butler. UConn is going to Butler to play, and that game is on Saturday. UConn is the 3rd ranked team in the country. Butler is not ranked. I think they're 7-3, 8-3, something like that.
They're 8-3, I believe.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to take UConn in this game. UConn, to me, might be the best team in the country right now. If we're being honest,
they could be.
I mean,
I'm going to take UConn as well. I do believe playing at Butler is a animal to play at.
The field house.
It is. They have the crowd is right down on the court.
Hinkle Field.
They have a small gymnasium. It's right down on the court, and they pack that place, and they're crazy.
Wasn't it a couple years back? Gonzaga went in there and they beat them on a last-second shot.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's a tough place to play. I would not be surprised if Butler is right there at the end in this game. I'm going to pick UConn, though. John Roberts is picking UConn. And then a top 10 matchup on Saturday later in the day is number 6 Tennessee at number 9 Arizona. Arizona's been playing really, really good ball.
They have.
So is Tennessee. I'm not saying Tennessee has too, but
it looks like that their guard might not be able to play Saturday. Trissa,
Oh, really? For Arizona?
They, John Rothstein put out a post today that he might not be able to play Saturday, so that makes it kind of even now.
Yeah.
Um, with
It's
him
at
in there,
Arizona.
yeah, with him in there, I think you give the edge to Arizona. Tennessee beat them last year in Knoxville, which Knoxville, as we know in the SEC, is a different animal on the road at night. Um, so give me. I think I'm gonna still take Arizona. Um, Lute Olson, I call it Lute Olson Arena. I don't even know if that's. I think it's Lute Olson Court, maybe. Um, that's that's a hard place to play.
It
Always
is,
has, always
and
has
they've
been.
won a lot of ball games in that place.
They have, and their fans are the most passionate I've ever seen in my life. So give me the Wildcats.
All right, you're talking about their fans. I'll never forget watching the 1997 national championship game. I'll go ahead and say I was in a bar in Florida. Okay, in 1997, I was in a bar and I was in Florida, and it was right on the beach, and it was packed. I mean, the whole place was doing nothing but watching the game the night. They had big TVs up. It was one of the funnest environments. Wound up sucking because we got beat, Miles Simon, and then beat us. But anyways, um, it was the Arizona fans in there and the Kentucky fans. We were going at it. It was fun. It was one of the funnest nights. It
Yeah,
was fun.
it was a good game.
It was a
If
it was a fun it was a fun atmosphere to watch that game in a bar in Florida. It was pretty fun.
well, if Kentucky had hit their free throws, they probably wouldn't be worrying about it right now.
No, yeah. I mean, we had every chance to win the game,
Yep.
but Arizona fans walked out happy. We all walked out sad. So,
One team has to win, and one team has to be the loser.
but anyway, you was talking about the Arizona fans. They are definitely passionate. I promise. Um, it's hard for me to go against this Tennessee team. It really is. I
My biggest
I
concern is
wasn't I wasn't sure. I mean, I really thought they would play better against Maryland last weekend.
they didn't play good. No.
And they didn't play real good against Maryland, but that
Well,
doesn't.
the biggest thing with Tennessee is their offense. They go into stagnant.
But then
Um,
they go through 5 or 10 minutes where they look like they're throwing it in from anywhere.
their defense is what carries them, I think. And like I say all the time, you always tell you defense travels in the tournament,
Yeah,
and it travels on the road too. It just not it don't
yeah.
disappear.
Defense travels, that's for
It
sure.
travels, but you got to have some offense to score too, though.
I'm going to go Tennessee in this game, which probably surprises you, but I think I'm going to go Tennessee and
Everybody
John
has to make everybody has to make bad decisions every once in a while.
and John Roberts is going Tennessee as well. So it's two against one, man.
Yeah,
All right. And then on Saturday, the last big game that I'm going to bring up and talk about is UCLA versus Kentucky. And this game is also being played at Madison Square Garden in New York. So, UCLA played Maryland, that same Maryland team that I just talked about with that Tennessee didn't look great against
yeah,
last
but
night and clocked
Maryland does
27
this.
points.
Maryland does this though. They'll look good one or two games, and then they fall right off the map. Like, here's my thing about this Kentucky team, and I don't want to get everybody's um, head rolls here in a minute, but they've got to play through Oscar. If they play through Oscar, I think they're a better team. But there's times where they get offensively challenged and they have no idea how to put up a shot. They don't know how to run sets. They don't know how to get to the goal. But if we're thinking about that for next
There's
year,
no there's no go-to guy
There's
that
not a
can
guy that
get
you can count on late in the game.
that can break you down and get to the basket and score. Now, Wheeler can get to the basket, but we miss half of them. So,
The one guy, if I had to really put it in his hands, it would be Casey Wallace. I mean, because he's the last 2 or 3 games, he's proven that he hit the big shot against Michigan. Um, and I felt like he played really well in that game. The Yale game, I thought he played really good.
I think we need to be playing Livingston some more and give him
Yeah,
some confidence.
that's a big thing too. So
I think
my pick,
Livingston could do it if we give him the confidence.
I want to pick UCLA. I mean, I really do because you don't know which Kentucky team's going to come out and play. Like you just don't know. You could have the Michigan team come out second half and start playing, or play the team at Gonzaga where they don't even know where the game's being played at. Like it's mind-boggling, and it continues to get like that every single year. Now, I'll say this for everybody watching: they shouldn't have that problem next year with guards because they're going to get DJ Wagner, they're going to get Justin Edwards, they're getting Reed Shepherd, Jeff Shepherd's son, which I watched him play the other night. I think he's better than what people think. So they're going to have a really good team next year in terms of guard play. So, but I still going to take Kentucky this game. I think they're due for a really big win, and this would be a really big
They're
win.
definitely due a big win.
And I tell you why this would be a really big win, because if I'm not mistaken, UCLA is number 7 in the net. That would propel Kentucky up quite a bit if they win this game. So, give me the Cats.
My biggest thing.
Not by much, though.
Okay. My biggest thing, man, is it's offense. You're talking about running it through Oscar, and I'm not disagreeing with you. I think that this team almost has to do that because they can't create offense on their own. It's just they are so far, they are having a really hard time in half court offensive sets. Now,
I'll say this. Now, it's got to get better.
If this team can get it out and run and get it up and get some baskets that way, they're great. They're also good when they get the ball to the right place with Oscar. It's the rest that I'm just not holding.
Here's my thing, though, is they start running and gunning, and they look like a different team. And then all of a sudden –
They are a different team.
All of a sudden, they go into this hold the ball type thing. And they'll hold the ball out on the perimeter for like 2 or 3 seconds. And I'm like, move. And you can hear Cal on the sidelines. He's saying, go, 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 go.
Yeah.
And they're just standing out there.
I know. Somebody said the other day that's the only thing Cal hollers during the games is go, go, go. I seen that on Twitter, I think, or something, where somebody said that's if you go to a game, that's all you hear Cal holler.
Go, go,
go. Yeah.
But like I said, I'm picking Kentucky, but it ain't by much.
Listen, I'm not going to go against my Cats, okay? It's hard for me to go against them against anybody. There's certain teams that it would be really hard for me to pick against when Kentucky's playing them. UCLA is one of them. For the longest time, it really still to this day, but it's not known as much. But for the longest time,
even when John Wooden was there,
the two best teams in the country were UCLA and Kentucky.
And every year, everybody got tired of them being there. Every year, everybody
Yeah,
got tired of
no,
UCLA
there
winning
was a
it.
time that and that's. I mean, don't get me wrong; it was a long time ago, but I grew up just after that time, and my dad grew up in that time, so kind of passed it on to me. But anyway, so I'm going to take the Cats in this game,
I'll say
and
this. I'll say this real quick. If we get the UCLA team that played Maryland, Kentucky's going to have their hands full Saturday.
absolutely they will, 100%. I agree with that statement,
They,
100%.
they better strap their boots on because it's going to be a long afternoon.
Yeah. John Roberts is picking Kentucky too, by the way, which is a miracle. I figured he'd go UCLA in this game, to be honest with you. Didn't you think he would pick UCLA? I did. I was kind of surprised that John Roberts is going Kentucky in this game. So after the weekend, on Sunday, Auburn plays at USC, not South Carolina. They're going out to LA and
Mm-hmm.
playing USC
That ain't even the biggest game of the night.
on Sunday. Yeah,
The
I know what
biggest,
I
the
know what
biggest,
I know what you're going to say. So,
the
and then
pit
so on Sunday, Rick Pitino
and
is
his son.
taking his Iona Gales, I
The
think
Gales, yeah,
is their names, out to New Mexico
to the pit
to the pit to play Richard Pitino's Lobos.
that are 10-0.
And they have Jamal Mashburn Jr.
Mashburn.
on their team. So if there's still some Cat fans on here, because we were just talking about the Cats, they actually have Jamal Mashburn Jr. on their team. This is their second year. They are 10-0, and Pitino and Rick Pitino's team is undefeated as well. So
Mm-hmm.
somebody's going to come out of there with a loss. And I believe I just interviewed Dan McKell a week or two ago, and I believe he told me that he didn't that Richard had never beat his dad. So it's
Did
a
you hear?
big.
Did you hear the interview with him last night? They interviewed him, I think, on the field of 68, Richard Pitino, and they said, "How do you feel about this matchup?" And he said, "Even if I win, he's still going to have more wins than me, and he's going to do all this. So what the heck do I care if I lose this game?"
Well, Dan McKell told me he thinks it's pretty important. He thinks that Richard really wants to win this game at the pit.
I think he does get one over on his dad. Yeah.
Yeah. So when I did that
What's
interview,
funny about this
Dan
game?
McKell has worked for Rick Pitino, Richard Pitino, and Kevin Willard, by the way, and
What's
he
funny?
had a little bit of insight.
What's funny about this game is the crowd might be the biggest New Mexico's had in quite a while because
Well,
they're 10-0, a chance to get in the top 25.
yep.
They haven't really had a good team the last few years. That place will be jumping Sunday evening.
So the pit, just so everybody knows, it actually is built down in the ground.
Yeah, it's called. That's why they call it the pit.
That's why it's called the pit. Right. That's what I'm saying.
The tournaments used to be played there quite a bit.
Yeah, it's actually built down in the ground, and the stands and stuff come up, and the court is down like in the ground, and it's called the pit, which is actually a pretty cool thing. And most people might not that lives out here in the East Coast might not realize this, but New Mexico Lobos are crazy about their basketball. They love their basketball. They really do.
It's sort of like Kentucky basketball, and it like not in that regard is better. It's the passionate thing about it.
They're passionate about their basketball now. And then I'm going to throw a game in just to kind of reminisce a little bit. On Tuesday night, Georgetown plays UConn. It's Georgetown's like got a losing record, and I'm not even bringing the game up because it's a game.
The Big East thing, yeah.
It's a Big East thing. It's just used to Georgetown and UConn was one of the biggest games of the season. to be honest with you.
John Thompson versus Jim Calhoun. It was
I'm
always a big
telling you, it
game.
was one of the biggest games of the season, and I just thought it was cool to bring it up. They play each other on Tuesday night. Duke and Wake Forest play, and Virginia and Miami play on Tuesday night. And Miami has snuck into the top 25. They're like 9-1, 10-1, something like that, and they're 25th in the country. And of course, Virginia's number 2. Of course, they'll be playing Houston on Saturday, but on Tuesday night they play at Miami. And then Wednesday night, Auburn plays at Washington. So they're going to USC and then they're going up to Washington and playing 2 Pac 12 teams. Auburn is this week away, both of them, USC and Washington. Washington the other night, Keon Brooks poured in 30. I don't know if you know that, but like either last night or night before last one, Keon Brooks poured in 30.
He's doing well out there.
And I've been paying attention. I've been a Keon Brooks fan for a long time since he came to UK, and I'm kind of paying attention. He poured in 30 in a big win, and Washington's I don't know, they're like 9-3 or 8-3 or something like that. And then TCU plays at Utah on Wednesday night. TCU is ranked. Utah is not ranked, but they're 10-1 and maybe one of their better teams since the Rick Majerus days.
Well,
So
they also got a win over Arizona too. So
right, they're not ranked yet though.
a win there could possibly reach that point.
Right. So that's kind of wrap up the men's basketball stuff. There's a couple of girls games on Sunday. Notre Dame plays at Virginia Tech. Notre Dame's the 5th ranked team in the country, and Virginia Tech is the 6th ranked team in the country. So it's 5th and 6th playing each other at Virginia Tech in Blacksburg. It ought to be a pretty rowdy atmosphere, I would think, for the girls' game to check that game out. And then on Sunday, and this game doesn't quite have the appeal because Tennessee has started out fairly bad. They have 5 losses. They're 7-5. They were ranked preseason top 5, but they're going out to Stanford, who's the 2nd ranked team in the country on the girls' side of the ball. They have a heck of a team. They are going to be one of the teams that has a chance to knock off the great South Carolina on the girls' side of the ball. It's, what Don Staley's done, just won it last year, has Aaliyah Boston back. So anyway, they're one of the better teams. But Tennessee and Stanford in the grand scheme of girls basketball is a big, big game.
Yes.
And then Florida State is playing at UConn. Florida State's 10-1. They have a backcourt, 2 girls, Latson and O'Brien, that's averaging almost 42 points a game between them.
Together, yeah.
Together. Yeah, that's averaging. And they're playing at UConn. And I bring this game up. UConn's lost 2 of their last 3 in the girls' side of the ball. That's what I'm talking about. And the girls' UConn is always
It seems like the last couple.
But the reason why they're losing is they've got 2 players hurt.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see if Florida State goes up there at UConn after they've had those 2 girls get hurt and can hang with them and beat them. If they can, then maybe this girls' teams, they got a girl that's out for between 4 to 6 weeks. Her last name is Fudd, and it's really hurt them. So it'll be interesting to see if Florida State can go up there and win that game at UConn, because that's not a place they lose. Yeah, I mean, that's not a place they lose. So those are just a few of the girls' games that I wanted to bring up. Stanford plays Creighton a little bit later in the week, and then Creighton plays Arkansas, and Creighton is ranked on the girls' side of the ball as well. They have a good team. A couple of games to watch for next week on the girls' side of the ball. Uh, but
Um,
that's go ahead.
we just want to talk about the Christmas lives and stuff. I don't think we're going to do one.
Yeah, well, just pay attention to us on Facebook or Twitter,
Yeah,
and we'll post something about when we're going to do shows. Next week is leading up to Christmas, and then the
there's just a lot
following
going
week,
on.
and then the following week is right after Christmas and New Year's. So the next 2 weeks we may have just a little bit of a different schedule. I'm gonna.
Well, I'll probably won't um, be here Tuesday or Thursday because I've got a lot of family on my dad's side coming in. So
Coming in. Yeah.
it'd probably be just you and John Roberts probably next week.
Okay.
But I will be back for um, the collab with Coleman. I'll be there for that one.
Yeah, we've got that going on. Trying to get a few
So,
things up here
so
real quick.
everybody wants to know about earlier what I posted about the NBA. Um, I don't want to give out too much information, but I can give out a little bit. Um, I made I got DM'd a guy today to see if he would like to come on the show. He played for Villanova back in the early 2000s. He played for, I think, Jay Wright. Um, so can't really give out a name, but that's as far as I can go with it because of privacy stuff. But he's he's supposed to get back with me, hopefully, after the new year. So that will be a big interview because he was a first team All American for Villanova. So,
Well, and people got to understand that it's the holiday season,
well, you
so
do,
we've
and a
got
lot of,
we've got some things going on, but we probably going to have to wait to after the holidays to do
well,
some of
that's
this
so
stuff.
much it. And sometimes, when you try to contact these people, a lot of them don't want you to really give their names out because there's a lot of privacy stuff that goes around, and until they actually get the interview, you
Hey,
want to make
Greg.
sure, you know what I mean. So you want to make sure you get the interview down before you um, get everybody in a frenzy.
Right.
So Greg
Oh,
says,
well,
"Hey guys, in-laws in towns, so gotta go, but wanted to say hi."
wanted to say hi. We appreciate it, Greg.
It ain't the Christmas lampoons in-laws, is it?
Yeah, yeah. The whole fam family.
Oh, geez. You know, let's just do a quick little thing there about that movie. We was watching it the other night as a family, and there was a part in there where he says, um, where it's towards the end of the movie, and Uncle's, I can't think, aunt.
Cousin Eddie.
No, it was the aunt and uncle,
Oh,
the older couple, and he light up that fire, and the fire went up in the sky, and she started singing the Star Spangled Banner, and I thought that was pretty neat. Like she just started, "Oh, say can you see?" and everybody just started joining in. Like it just reminded me of so many families. Their Christmases are off the wall sometimes, and you just gotta, you know, take a lot of it with a grain of salt. Some of it, so good people, he said.
all right, guys. So we are posting a few things while we kind of finish this up and talk. That's Reaper Apparel Company. You can get a 10% discount with that C Sportscast code there. If you follow that link that I got on there for you.
It's been fun with you tonight. I think we should do this every night. Get rid of the boys.
One last thing, as far as just kind of some stuff we need to talk about. We're now being featured on the YouTube channel, the Real Fresh channel, on Sunday evenings.
Yeah.
Check us out on that channel. That this guy has a network of podcasts that he puts on his channel. Like I said,
NFL Outdated is another one that we're going to be.
yes, NFL Outdated is one of the podcasts that is on there. He has, like I said, pro sports pods, comedy spot. pods. He has fantasy football pods, murder mystery pod. We're on there as the College Sports Podcast. So check them out on the Real Fresh channel. He is on Twitter as well at the Real Fresh channel.
Speaking of which, I was watching it the other night. There was one wrestling show that lasted 3.5 hours. How do you come up with stuff in 3 hours?
I told you they last. Some of them last forever.
Well, man, you'd have to. There's some you just have to grind your teeth on, I guess.
That's our Linktree page. Please go to Linktree and follow us. We ask that you follow us, and so you can catch our lives and know when we're on. We're trying to keep a kind of a regular schedule, Tuesday, Thursday, and Sundays. But for the next couple of weeks, we probably will be off of that regular schedule just a little bit through the holidays.
Yeah.
But then we will. But then we will go back to our regular schedule. So just want to kind of give y'all a heads up on that.
January and February be bumping with college basketball.
Oh yeah, and so 2 more quick things, real quick. We are planning on doing a collab show with NFL Outdated, and this is going to be a Iowa versus Kentucky Music City Bowl preview. If we get this done, I've got it almost worked out, everything. But we're going to be doing that. I'm not 100% sure if it's going to be on our channel on our end or if it's going to be on their channel and their end. But we'll post it when we get it, and you guys will see it. So we got that going on, and then we're going to do a collab post-game show New Year's Eve with Talking Kentucky. And that is going to be a combined effort show, I believe. And it is going to be after.
I'll probably be eating before the ball drops some cheese ball and
and that's going to be after the UK Louisville game, basketball, and after the Iowa Kentucky game in the Music City Bowl. We'll do a kind of a collab effort with Talking Kentucky. So we're looking forward to that with Coleman Scott and Caden. They're good friends of ours, so it'll be fun to do that on New Year's Eve with them. And if you watch their show, Talking Kentucky, please do. I think they were on tonight, too, about the same time we were. So anyways.
Everybody has schedules. Usually it depends. Everybody's on at a different time.
Yeah. So we appreciate you guys being on with us. We appreciate all the comments. If you're watching, if you're on with us, if you're watching this as a recording, after we do this, if you're on again with us, please chat with us. Give us a comment. Say something to us.
Follow us on Twitter. We need more followers.
We need followers on Twitter. We have a Facebook page and Twitter page. That Linktree, the reason why I have that up, it has all of our stuff. It has the Twitters, it has the Facebook, it has our YouTube, there's even a Christmas giveaway for some hats right now.
It has Brad's social security number on it.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Got John's credit cards on it.
No, it don't. I'm kidding.
Just don't jump on fat, okay? It doesn't have that.
Oh, that's pretty good.
All right, man. We'll end this up. We will be here on Sunday this week for our week wrap-up show. And then after that, we'll announce on Sunday exactly what we're going to do for next week. So we appreciate y'all being on. Y'all have a good night. We'll catch you on Sunday.